I'd like to introduce you to our Essex alumni and are actually who are entrepreneurs, of course, who founded their company, co-founders of WYSPR, Oliver and Eliot.
Hey guys, I guess we should do a little rundown of us then, I guess, and a little bit about our journey.
Let's get straight into it right now.
Time at Essex.
It's good to be here, guys. I'm really glad to see that so many people, even within like the first days of university, are interested in becoming entrepreneurs. One thing you've got to understand about our university is that we're naturally people who end up at Essex tend to be of the wittier mindset, be able to find their way through things. And entrepreneurship is at the core of Essex as a county. Some of the most successful and wealthiest people come from Essex County, and you're in a great place to start. So I'm really glad to see that we've got a new generation of entrepreneurs ready and waiting to go. Eliot and I met on the first day of university. We both studied business, conveniently, surprise, surprise. A lot of people who want to become entrepreneurs tend to choose that as a subject matter. From day one, we were constantly bouncing ideas upon each other, ideas for this, ideas for that, concepts, and taking them through to their natural extent. Many things about a company is, it's not just about the idea, it's about the execution. So Eliot and I built a relationship from day one, taking things, and somewhat like machine learning, taking an idea, seeing it out to its natural extent, and then seeing where it ended. Doing that, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And eventually, upon our placement year, we came to an idea. Let's maybe talk about a bit about placement year.
Yeah. So, for most people, probably do know what a placement year is. Some people don't. Basically, we did like a sandwich course. So we did 2 years at Essex, a year in industry, then a year back at Essex. So we did our placement year in a company called TransPerfect. And people never think about it, but the translations industry is huge. And it's in everything you see. Every product you picked up in a store will sell it in countries abroad. Every medicine that you have will come from different countries or be translated and tested in different countries. And even the adverts you see, they'll have to get like the cultural references and nuances into these other languages. So translations companies are huge, and we didn't even realize until we went on our placement. And the company we worked at does something crazy like $850 million dollars revenue a year. It's something you never would think of, but it's a huge company, and we learned so much there. And obviously, a big thing about being entrepreneurial is always wanting to learn. And people always tend to forget you don't just become an entrepreneur. You could be an intrapreneur. So you can be entrepreneurial within a business. And that's where we really kind of like narrowed down our skill set for, what we developed into WYSPR. So in our placement year, Ollie worked in project management for branding and marketing. I worked in strategic account services for kind of like medical clients. That's more like sales side. So really honed our skills in those few years. And we saw how a big organization works, like how they scale up their businesses and how they test ideas, how they implement them, and really how they kind of interact with clients and vendors, on a professional scale. And experiences like that are just fantastic for us in making WYSPR. And a lot of the processes that we have, we kind of learned from there. So, a big thing before we get into what we do is, if you've got an opportunity to learn from anywhere, take it, 100%. You can always learn something.
Yeah. Like we went into our placement year already knowing that we wanted to start a company probably the year after. So we made an active effort to not just be like focused on our roles, even though our roles were fundamental to starting WYSPR and expanding the company structure. We actually made an active effort to go around the company, take a note, to see the structure, observe the structure, how the different, the departments interacted with each other, what their business model was. And subsequently from that, as Eliot said, we established a company based on a similar business model to the one that we actively experienced within the city. So coming back in our third, or technically fourth year of university, we had a business model, we had the concept, we just applied the two together. We had experience obviously in branding and marketing and project management on my side and client services respectively from Eliot's side. So we effectively took the template and applied it to a new industry, social media. Look, we're young, we like to think we're young, coming up 25 or so, but you guys are even younger, which means you've got an even better establishment of the new emerging industries. what we did is we took a tried and true business model and applied it to an industry that had yet to be renovated, even though it's a fast-moving industry. So we applied it to influencer marketing, new emerging. We've got a better understanding of it than any 40-year-old in the branding and marketing company. We know what to do, and that's how we came up with the WYSPR. The concept, the eureka moment, came to us one day after work. We were in the gym and we were just scrolling through social media, noticing that the influencers that we followed averaged an engagement rate of between 1% to 2%. You look at like even the smaller ones, they have followers of like sometimes 500,000, a million, even just 40,000, but only like 400, 1,000 people are liking their posts. It's because the people aren't engaging with them. They don't feel a true connection to them. They observe them much like you'd observe, like a TV program, like quite passively just to see. But what we do is we engage distinctively with our friends on social media. We care about what they have to say and we value what their opinions are, which effectively we came to the conclusion, hey, influencer marketing is using all these people who cultivate a sense of fake friendship with their audience. Why bother? Why not use our friends instead? We see here that numerically, that influence exists between us, between the people around us, the people we care about. Why don't we just take those people and allow them to advocate for their brands and products? And the most convenient part is, if any of you have your mobile phone next to you right now, take it out, go on Instagram, scroll through your posted photos and stop at the first one that you see like a brand logo in. It will probably be the first one. You're probably wearing like a Nike jumper, Adidas jumper, Nike trainers, or you're drinking like a Stella in the pub. Whatever you're doing, you're already promoting products. You're just not getting paid. So your influence exists and you're already influencing people. You just have yet to monetize that. You just have no power. Instead of that, your data is being taken. So what we're effectively doing is we're democratizing influencer marketing. We're saying to the brands, hey, look here, these advocates are natural advocates of your product. They're already posting about it and they like your product. You just need to incentivize them to do it better. And then you turn to the individual like yourselves and going, hey, you're already posting about products you like. Why aren't you getting paid for it? Why are you, effectively doing it for free when other people out there, like influencers, are getting paid tremendous amounts sometimes and based on arbitrary figures? So that's what we did. We established it. We had our theory, we had our idea, and we had a business model.
Yeah.
When we came back to university, it was all missions go, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The next step was market research.
Yeah, 100%. Like, as all entrepreneurs know, like you're finding a problem and you're solving it. Bigger the problem, the more people that have it, the more money you're going to make, the better. And the bigger you're going to grow and the quicker you're going to grow. So like Ollie said, the first thing for us was kind of like, the market research and the viability testing. And, it's a huge part of being an entrepreneur. Like you'll probably have like 101 ideas a day, they're coming thick and fast. And that's what we had. And we finally got to, this idea and we thought like, that's it. It's scalable. It's a big problem. It works. Let's do the testing. So we spent about, a good few weeks looking into all the numbers. We've got over 600 case studies from, the influencer marketing sphere, getting the kind of like averages that they got, seeing the trends, seeing the other problems, and this really let us know that it was a really viable problem. We worked out the pricing, seeing how much an influencer gets on average. They get about 19 pence an engagement. So, if you're getting 10,000 engagements on a post as an influencer, making buckets load of money, you're making about $2,000 a post, and unfortunately they don't always base that on engagement, they base it on followers. So we thought we'd strip it back, we'd do it to pure engagement, so brands are paying for what they get, and it means that the average person like you guys that gets a high engagement gets more money. So like the last few months we paid out way over £1,000, a few £1,000s by now actually to everyday individuals. And part of that viability testing was making sure that we could pay people kind of a respectable amount, because there's no point asking you to post about Heineken or Nike or something if you're going to get £1. So we worked out most people can actually get paid at least £5 minimum. We've got people on our database that are getting paid £60. So it's hugely viable. And the next stage from there was kind of just building it up, researching, and keep building the kind of business model.
Yeah, exactly. So from that stage, we had the idea, we had the concept, we knew it was viable, we examined the market. So the next step is Eliot and I went about designing the specific mechanisms, the product and how it worked. Now, every company, no matter if it's big, small, any industry, startups, you're going to have your trials and tribulations. And we designed the product by ourselves, Eliot and I, designing how the app would work, the user interface of the app, what we wanted from it, and how it connected to our internal management tool. So we had that. We had the iOS app, which is for what we call friend-vertisers, because we don't call them influencers. We say that they're influencing their friends, thus friend-vertisers. So it's a mobile app on Apple, on the App Store now. You download it, you sign up, you get your job invites there, and you can post and it will track it via Instagram. And then you upload your results at the end. That's for the user. Then we have our internal dashboard. That's what we use to send the job invites, collect the data, and submit the reports. So we designed these two things that interconnect. Yet Eliot and I are not technical founders. We don't have any coding experience. We don't have any coding skills. So what did we do? We went out and we found a third person, a technical founder. And this is a very funny story because you might experience something like this as well yourself. And it's worth knowing. And there's no hard feelings here, but we found someone and he claimed to be able to do this. Yet we don't know if he actually ever was able to do it. He said he could, and he went about building this software. It took him an incredible amount of time to get started. We wrote out a contract for him that upon completion, he was to receive 17.5% shares in the company, which, well, now it would have been worth, what is it?
A decent amount.
A decent amount.
Yeah.
A decent amount. But he failed to start working. And then at that point where he turned around to us, he said, guys, I can't pay my rent. I can't do this. He was a foreign student. We went, look, whatever you need, we'll give it to you. We offered to pay him. We offered to give him free accommodation. In the meantime, we needed him to code this application. He turned around to us and he said, I can't do it. I'm working. Even though we gave him every opportunity to be able to do it, he violated his contract and we had to let him go.
Yeah. And the biggest part of it, it was like communication. Even if he did have the skill set, we kind of learned that there wasn't really any solid communication there. Like me and Ollie talk to each other all the time. Ollie oversees project management and I oversee more the sales side. So you've got sales and vendors, two biggest parts of the company apart from, tech. And we communicate constantly. If one of us has got a problem with it, the other one know about deadlines, what we can meet, but we just didn't really get that. And, we kind of learned early on, that is one of the most valuable things when looking for someone. You need to have that solid communication if you're going to get help. But it's a lesson. It's a really good lesson we learned from. And now we're looking for a new technical founder.
Absolutely.
And that's the foremost thing we're going to be looking for.
Precisely. And in those scenarios, people like this, they have to be as committed to your vision and your goal because it's got to become their goal. They're a founder now. Once they come on board, it's no longer like they're not working for you. You're building this together. And sadly, this fella, he didn't share that. He didn't see the potential for whatever reason. He never said that. He said he wanted to, but his actions spoke as it did. So what did we do? We could have stopped there. Done. We don't have a technical founder. We can't build the product. Well, what we did is we started fundraising. Now, not fundraising in the typical sense. We'll probably get around to that because that's what we're doing now. But we entered innovation competitions. Guys, you are at a point and a place that allows for a massive amount of fruitful concept stage funding. Essex startups, EIRA, all of these institutions that are partnered with our university, you can walk in with just an idea, what's floating around your head now, pitch it, and they'll give you the seed money to start it.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We pitched once, we won 3,000. We pitched again, we won 30,000. With those two things, we found a company out of 20 companies. We kind of narrowed it down like the Hunger Games and found one that we could work with, communicated well. And we basically told them our vision in a very specific manner. And it was an ongoing process over months and months, because when you've got something very specific in your mind, you have to, it's very hard for people to understand and build it. So once that was established, they went about building it. About 5 months later, in July, our iOS app was finished and we launched it. So we didn't let not having something, a skill set, stop us. We pushed ahead anyway. From that time, we started floating the app in late July 2020. August, September, October, we've had repeat custom from top brands such as Yo Sushi, the Athenian Ping Pong, with over 100% month-on-month revenue, We are now a revenue generating business and highly investable for VC and seed funding. We have taken something from concept stage to earning revenue. If you can do that, any one of you, which you can, you've given yourself a stamp. Each step that you get, building a concept, it's a stamp on your book. People will look at you. Building it to a stage where you're actually manufacturing it, even if you don't finish it, another stamp in your book.
Yeah.
Taking a product that fails, you're still an entrepreneur, and people will look at you with respect. Revenue, and obviously the next step. So any step towards your goal is a step towards success.
Yeah,
it really is, and everyone views you with more clout because of it.
And you can have failures along the way. You know, like we've had numerous ones. You know, and it's about hypothesizing, doing your research, testing, and then pivoting. If it doesn't quite work out, and that happens. And that's what we've been doing over the last year when we were building our product. We had a release ready in about January, and the Apple Store didn't like it because they were like, it does one specific thing. We need to have a bit more value add for consumers. So we went back to the drawing board, did a little bit of pivoting, and we added in a few extra features, and it's actually worked really well for us. And it's a better product because of it. It just all comes down to giving it a go. Like Ollie was saying, like those stamps in your book. It's the best time. You're never going to have as much free time as you have now.
Oh, yeah.
When you're at uni. Like, first year we did nothing really. We just went out a lot. It's sad you guys can't quite do that at the moment. And we went out a lot. We chilled a lot. And then third year after that placement year, we just worked like dogs. Every free hour we had, we were doing this. And it's an opportunity you're not going to have. Like, as soon as you leave uni, you've got to pay rent, you've got to pay bills, you've got to maybe get a job. And it's also part of being young. You're never going to have as little risk as you have now. So like when we left uni, it was kind of like Ollie said, do we pursue this without a technical founder, or do we pump in a load of money ourselves and get innovation grant and just go for it?
Yeah.
And that's what we decided to do. We put in all of our savings that we got throughout the placement year. And we also said hey, look, we're going to turn down jobs and we're going to go full time on it. And of course, I'm not saying that's what everyone should do, but you've got to be willing to take the risk, because 10 years down the line, you might have kids and a wife and you've got to pay a mortgage. It's going to be hard to take risks then. So
consider your options. Think if you get to the point where you finish university, but you know what you want to do, and it's going to be a startup, be a company. Think, where did I live before university? Move back in with your parents. Start it there. It might be for a year, it might be for 2, but that seed, that expansion out from there, will boost you onto new grounds. And it may feel like a step back for you, but just you understand that whether it's WYSPR or Amazon or Google, and I can't stress this enough, every company, whether it's multi-billion-dollar or startup, behind the veneer, the facade, is people stitching things together randomly. It's people figuring things out, being like, fuck, that has to go here, oh my God, we're late on this. I don't care how well organized or well oiled you think these things are. Companies are held together by individuals' ingenuity, getting things done, stitching things up behind the back and pumping it out. It really is. So when you're at your startup stage and you think you're doing that, you think that you're scrambling, you're not. That's how it might be forever. You just got to learn how to do that. It's about, that's your process. Yeah. And when you introduce new people, it trans perfect. I can't tell you, we had tools and kits, and everyone went, ignore all that. You got to do this when it's on the deadline. Got to maybe do this, skip that. Everything is effectively, impromptu. That's what innovation is. Innovation, there is no set way to do it. The truth is when you do something new, you do something innovative, it's not like selling flowers, which is, okay, how to start a flower business and then done. If you're taking a new approach to it, then you're going to be figuring it out. These are called wicked problems that you as entrepreneurs are going to have to navigate. The ones that you're going to have to make up, solutions that you probably can't Google. Pretty much everything to do with our company is from our minds. So where are we going to reference? There's nowhere to reference. It's our own. We've got to figure it out.
The best thing is it makes it really fun because one day is the same. It's always different. You've always got a new problem that you have to tackle.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. So that takes us to where we are today.
Yeah,
we are engaging, and now this is proper startup stuff. This is stuff that we didn't know about when we first started the company. We had no idea about funding rounds and VCs. It's
Valuations.
not valuation.
Yeah.
We went into this and we learned as we go. And like, you know, don't be intimidated by every step. You know, another thing you'll learn is that people don't know as much as you think they do. You know, a lot of people are making it up just like you are. But here we are, and we're engaging what we call our pre-seed round. Now, pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B. These are stages of funding that startups progress through. Generally speaking, this is the standard startup model. If you're starting a tech company, people invest very early stage in the hopes that you'll grow. Think Uber investing in their concept stage to be able to build them. Right now, we're raising our pre-seed stage. This means that we've built a certain amount of tech. Oftentimes it's actually pre-revenue, but we are just post-revenue. And we're seeking first start from VCs, venture capitalist funds, to give us money to go ahead, hire people, and get this into a proper churning, revenue-making company. The next step is obviously seed, which is the classic first stage, and Series A. Now, what you might want to be looking at is examine what kind of company you're starting. Examine the growth potential of your company. What are you looking to grow? Now, there's nothing wrong with starting any type of company. Any type of company is a good company, but you need to consider what type of investment company it is. Is it a bootstrap company, a company that you're going to put the money in, start yourself, grow it to a financially beneficial place for yourself, have it providing you income, and then that's it? Is it going to be a venture capitalist and investment company, which is like high growth, high expansion, like often like tech companies that are looking to encompass the whole thing?
Really scalable,
looking to expand, you know, think of like Uber, Airbnb, these companies. So firstly, take a look at your company and examine what it's going to be. Now, there's another alumni that I went to our university that you probably all heard of, Bulk Powders. Bulk Powders, one of the largest distributors of nutrition. You all know it, you know?
Yeah.
You all know Bulk Powders, right? They started it themselves. They didn't seek investment. They basically were drop shippers in the first place. They basically bought product, sold it elsewhere, and they didn't need investment. It wasn't high growth. But look at the stage they're at now. They've managed to keep pretty much all of their equity because of it. Now, that's a massively impressive thing to do. And with tech companies specifically, it very rarely happens. Very rarely happens because high growth potential mandates a lot of money to be pumped in to develop tech. You know, what all they needed pretty much was a website, you know. But examine your company. Do you actually need to find investment, or can you do it yourself? Can you sell one thing that you bought for 10 for 20 and then buy two more and sell them for 40 and buy two more, so on and so forth? Can you do that? We actually put in a considerable amount of money to start this ourselves. It's bootstrapped. We won innovation prizes, certainly, and that helped us as well. But we put in the first money from saving from our placement year. And that got us to the stage we're at now. And it means that we're even more highly investable because of it. We are a tech company, so we're going to necessitate investment if we want to expand as aggressively as we do. But not all companies need that. You know, if you're looking to, you know, radicalize a certain manner, it might just be just you and a computer. That's might all that's needed. So examine what you want to do with the company.
That's fully it. You know, you might be a fantastic small, medium-sized business, and you might grow organically, and that's fantastic as well. You know, and VCs probably wouldn't look at investing in that. That might be friends and family, maybe. You know, because VCs, they want these high-scale growth companies because lots of the companies they invest in fail. You know, they look for at least 7 times return because 1 in 7 companies will succeed, the other 6 won't. So they need to recoup their investment, which is why they go for these high growth, explosive businesses. But, you know, either or, Essex is a fantastic place to be. They've got the Innovation Centre now. They're teamed up with EIRA. They've got links with Santander. They've got links with, you know, like a funding platform that they just launched, Essex Innovate. And I think they've funded 4.3 million worth of funding over 20 companies since its launch about 5 months ago. So, you know, if you've got a good kind of like seed stage business, are we ready for that high growth? Like, they've got you covered. You know, an ERA, like Ollie was saying earlier, if you've got an idea, a bit of a business plan, you've done some mild experimentation, they can give you up to £3,000 to kind of explore that idea and kind of further it. So Essex is the place to be.
Yeah.
You know?
And on that note of like examining what type of company you're starting, you might actually earn more money from starting a small, medium company than you ever would starting a startup. A lot of people, create these companies that improve something even within our local area, and they earn six-figure incomes for the rest of their life because it just sits pretty in the background. So really examine what type of company you want. Not everything is a startup, not everything is Uber, and it doesn't need to be as well. That was something that we learned that we're passing on to you.
Yeah.
That is pretty much where we are now, guys. We are learning as we go. We are young startup owners and young business people. This is our first go at it. This is our first startup. It's going well, but there's no reason why you guys can't be where we are in a year's time or whatever. As long as you're dedicated, as long as it is viable. One thing that we could expand on a bit more is the importance of your market research and seeing where it's going to go. An idea is the least important part of your company. It really is. Uber was like the 300th ride-sharing app, but they nailed their business model, they nailed their marketing, and they saw the opportunity to expand in the way they did, and now they're Uber.
Yeah.
And even now they're losing market share because they're too expensive, So Ola, Bolt coming in because there's opportunity in the market. Just because someone's doing something doesn't mean that you can't improve it, what we're doing isn't too different to influencer marketing. It's an established industry. Yeah. It's not like we're inventing it. People get likes and promote stuff on Instagram. We're just using a different resource to be able to do that. So do your market research. If we summarize, ideation, think of your concept, examine it, perform your market research, see how far it can go, where it's going to go, examine the company type. Is it going to be a scaled company? Is it going to be able to expand? Is it going to be a small, medium company? Execution. Examine how you're going to do it and how you're going to go about doing it. And then that's completion. So then now you've got the finished product and you're ready to go and you're ready to start making money. That's where we are. But all of those stages, you need to be living in the present is the most important part. Being at the stage you're at, but knowing what you need to do next. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't think, I'm on the ideation stage. How am I going to possibly complete it? Well, wait, see if there's a market for it first, before you get there. Everything has its time, Otherwise, that's essentially what you want to be doing is, living in the present, making sure that you're nailing the thing you're doing at that moment, Okay, the market research is there. And that's basically our journey summarized, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Came up with the idea, went back to university, found the market for it, figured out how you were going to do it, went about doing it, needed the money, raised the money. Now we're at the finished product and we're turning revenue. And the thing starts again,